Well, greetings, and thanks for joining us for another episode of Lightbulb Moments, episode number 157. Who would have thought? I'm super excited about today. I've got a smile on my face because of the two guests that we're going to get to in a little bit here. And we're really on the eve of Independence Day. We were going to take today off, but I was just so compelled to have conversations with both Debra and Patrick that we added an episode, and because I've been off the last couple weeks, so I'm super excited about today. This is a live recording, but most of you will be viewing this on either YouTube or you'll also be listening to it in the podcast. We're now in 3 forums. I love doing it live like this, and we do have several people joining us live, which is awesome. I'm Tom Kuhn. I'm host and curator of Lightbulb Moments. I'm also founder and CEO of Qnity. What is a lightbulb moment? Well, I like to think of it as being a sudden realization, enlightenment of inspiration. And certainly our two guests today have light bulb moments that are very tangible, specific, and can't wait to get to those. But remember, it's one thing to have an idea, but it's another thing to take action on it. Remember, you can't start a fire without a spark. So ideas are one thing, action is what it's about. And that's what we hope that this forum is for you, that you'll get an idea and there'll be a spark for your own light bulb moment that will create another degree of prosperity for you. At Qnity, we're here to go from what's confusing, overwhelming, and complicated to a clearer path towards prosperity. And to prosper, remember to manage your ATM, the 3 currencies that we have in life: attention, time, and money. And thanks for spending your precious time with us today. We love hearing from you. If you have an idea, if you have an idea of your own, if you want to be a guest, if you have a suggestion for a guest, put it in the chat, reach out to us by email or on our webpage. Check out past episodes. I'm going to get to some of those in a moment, but just a quick idea of who our guests today, which we're going to bring to the mic and camera shortly here. We're going to start out with Debra Neill of Neill Corporation and Serious Business, as well as other parts of the Neill family of companies. And what Debra did last week is she did the reveal of the theme for the 2025 Serious Business. And we're going to get it in her own words today. Why the theme behind it, a little bit more about Serious Business. Debra and I go way, 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 way back. And we've been friended partners for a long time. And I continue to celebrate this and I always love having Debra as a guest. Then we have someone that's a relatively new relationship for me, Patrick Butler of Floyd's 99 Barbershop. I'll do a little bit more of an in-depth introduction to Patrick. But he also had a light bulb moment that actually turned into a book. Stay tuned. We're going to get to each of these guests one by one in a little bit. Our last guest, we had Minter Dialback. Oh my gosh, the guy just blows me away. And he did last time. So I think this was 3 weeks ago. It's recorded. You definitely want to check it out. He is one of the more interesting people I've ever met. He's super prolific. He's super wise. I don't even know how to sum up that last episode other than I was distracted because I was taking so many notes and I didn't always do my job as a facilitator because I was so engaged with it. Other recent guests, we had a theme going before, during, and after the fill where we really profiled several of our speakers and partners and colleagues, all from the University of Texas, Austin area. Most recent one was Galen Paulson, who's actually the executive director of the Texas Executive Education Macomb School of Business. What a great session by this guy. And then Gay Gaddis, who is had the largest female-owned digital agency in the country, who sold it. She's also a graduate of UTexas and an Austin resident. She is super inspiring, wrote a fantastic book. Other guests, a lot of them PhDs: Katie Pritchard, Dr. Elizabeth Richmond Garza, and then we had Mike Leggett, who was paired up with Sam Bricado, and then non-University of Texas, but we're big fans of Liz and Jess Arundel of Luscious & Co. All of those are fantastic episodes. Those are just some of the recent ones. And reminder, submit some of your own light bulb moments. We love hearing from you. We do have some sponsors for this. Lightheart Sanders, the CPAs, they actually have been a legacy sponsor. They've been a sponsor since the very early days. Thank you, Lightheart Sanders. Also, Green Circle and Forest. And thanks for helping sponsor. Upcoming dates, just a reminder, Money '02 by Erin, their podcast. She continues to blow me away with some of these guests that she has. Her sessions are very much money focused, and she just finds some of these amazing people. So check those out in your leisure. Lightbulb Moment last week and this week coming up, which also is just a little bit of a reminder of some of the things we're working on. As announced last month, 2 months ago now, I can't believe it was 2 months ago we did the fill, is we are embarking on a salon P&L benchmark study. The Qnity Institute is doing it. We're going to address what is the true average profitability for a salon, as well as all of the benchmarks and the different line items that are super relevant. Most people say it's 2 to 5 cents on the dollar. And however, there's no data to actually back that up. Not no data, but most of the benchmarks are old. They are pre-pandemic. Salons are running their business with old and untested or no data. The last study that was performed that was industry neutral, and it was done in collaboration with a major university, was 2014, and we're ready to do it again. The submission period's going to start very shortly. It's going to go into August. It'll bleed into September. Final results will be in October. It's a simple process. There's a survey, uploading some P&Ls through Excel, and then there's an optional tax verification. All of this under non-disclosure, confidentiality, and all of that. Participants will get a scorecard and a free P&L assessment. We really need this data. We'll put something in the chat about how to stay involved with this. Stay tuned for more announcements. A lot of this is really predicated on a methodology we developed, a 2 to 10, where we gave every company a scorecard. And the data team that we have assembled is a combination of CPAs and then data scientists from the University of Texas, Austin. So that's coming up. And Lightheart Sanders will be the CPA firm that the data will be submitted to. And then we'll also have analysts, like I said, from UTexas. It's a revolutionary partnership that keeps growing with University of Texas, Austin. So more about that coming up very soon. One other thing before I get to Debra in just a couple minutes here is the whole area of succession planning and making the next generation of salon owners, creating a path for current and future salon owners. We did a 3-part series. Those should still be recorded. One was myths and traps, another one's valuations, and then the last one was readiness. We did that in the month of June. I think it was the month of June, yes. And I think you can still listen to the recording to those. We are in the final stages of closing a special group that we've assembled with Heath Smith and myself, where over the next year, we're going to help businesses and owners get ready. It's a very structured program, and we're almost full. We're closing enrollment, and that is an interview process. You have to fill out an application first. And then in the fall, we've got an open workshop. The 3rd time we've done this workshop. It's really a master class in succession and transition planning. All right, enough of that. Debra.
Hey, Tom.
Well, good morning.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. And you?
I just always get excited when you're the guest because
Oh.
you've always got something cooking. And I saw the reveal. I didn't actually see the reveal, but I almost like preempted and say, hey, why don't we do a sneak peek last Wednesday at 10 o'clock? But I thought, no, I'll wait, have you do the reveal. But good morning. Thanks for joining us.
My privilege. Thank you.
There are so many different avenues that you and I can go down, so many areas that you could speak to with great passion and expertise and knowledge. And but we're going to focus today on Serious Business 2025.
Okay,
And
thank you for the opportunity.
The theme. Tell us about.
Well, before we get to the theme, I want to say, listening to you, share everything that you and your team are up to. I'm grateful. And we're talking about serious business, and no one has taken bringing business acumen to our industry more serious than you.
Oh, thank you. That's a very nice statement.
Yeah, so
I
that,
appreciate that.
yeah. So yeah,
Well,
serious business is, you know, very aligned with, that's what happens. You said that I don't even know, we've known each other probably, I don't know, 30 years.
yeah, yeah.
And the alignment has always been there and continues to be. And
Well, yeah, before we get to the theme, there is a light bulb moment here, and it was the light bulb moment behind serious business. Let's go there first, because it's
okay,
what,
yeah,
26 years now?
yeah. And this thing about your theme about light bulb moments is that a lot of these light bulb moments, the light bulb stays on, and
Mm,
it creates more light. So when you have one light bulb moment that makes a big impact, then you just start turning on all these other light bulb moments. And they, like serious business has been around for 26 years. So that light bulb moment that happened 27 years ago with Edwin, um, we're almost 27 years later.
do
That's
you
what,
do you remember? I'm super curious. Do you remember like the conversations around that when it was still just an idea?
oh yeah, very much so. And a lot of you won't remember this because you probably weren't even born. Was that, do you remember the Salon Association, TSA?
Yes,
Of course you
absolutely.
do.
Yep.
Well, Edwin and Howard Hafetz were two of the founding uh, members. And at the time, the TSA event was really, about supporting salon owners in business. And at one point, when the TSA event started to get a little not as focused, my Edwin was like, he said, there's this big opportunity. And, we always said when there's an opportunity, there's also an obligation.
Mm.
So when you can, you should. So he was like, we're going to create an event that's really about serious business. And that was the beginning. And it was always really it was driven by especially Edwin's commitment to reaching his full potential. And all leadership begins with self-leadership, right? So he that's what motivated him, is like, how can, and it was also, look, this was not, I guess you could call this a light bulb moment, but it was a realization or just an acknowledgement that in order for us to be successful, we had to support our customers in being successful. We were only going to be as successful as they were. So those were the, really the impetus behind creating serious business.
You need to stop it. I'm writing notes here.
It's okay.
It's great. I mean, some of you got some sound bites here that are just, I mean, I love where there's opportunity, there's obligation. I've never really thought about that way.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about any of us, and it also, I'm a big one on the generosity. I think generosity is you could call it goes back to karma, but generosity to me and opportunity and obligation all go together. And I don't think anything makes us feel much better than we are truly generous and we are giving out of just pure love, and support. So that's,
Well, this light bulb moment, I actually didn't know the genesis of the story. I didn't realize that was really the mindset at the time for the creation. And fast forward to today is me personally, out of 26 years, I think I might have missed maybe three, maybe four, and what it does is it helps kick off the year with some new thinking. I mean, the speakers that you bring in. Now, by the way, just FYI, Ryan Holiday spoke. Didn't Ryan Holiday speak at one?
Year before last.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for some reason, like 2 days ago, he
Last year.
popped up on my feed, and I bought this book a while ago, but I'm reading this like right now, And honestly, I might have heard about Ryan Holiday, but Serious Business has just brought to our awareness so many thought leaders, and I don't think there's any conference. Our conferences are so small compared to Serious Business, and we
Well,
like to
ours
bring,
used to be. So
yeah,
just
but
keep it up, right?
the speakers that you bring in, and let's be honest, they are enormously, expensive, you know. And I use
They
the word
certainly are.
expensive. It's a lot of money for these, and it's a big commitment by you guys. So 26 years, started out. Do you remember the first event? How many people were there?
Maybe 300. I don't really, my memory's not
And
really
then,
great.
and then now you're at what? Maybe 12,
Anywhere
1,500.
from 1,200 to 1,800.
God, that's phenomenal. Yeah.
So,
And I think with the intention that you put behind it, everybody understands at the beginning of the conference that there's intention, and it comes, and I think you really are very responsible for that, in terms of setting that intention every year. So everybody sort of has that moment there. Okay, we're hearing from Debra. This is why we're doing it. And it's a great kickoff. So
well, I appreciate the acknowledgement, but it's really, and before I say more, I want to honor and celebrate and just express how much I miss our dear friend and my colleague, Carol Augusto. Um, it was, she's so missed, and I certainly miss her. Working on Serious Business without her has required a big adjustment for me. And so anyway, and she and I were like kind of yin and yang,
yeah, totally.
which was
Yeah.
perfect. And she always said, okay, well, Deborah's the one who comes up with the themes, but it's not really me coming up with the theme. All you have to do is pay attention to what's going on in the
Mm.
world and in business and in society, and it shows up. So these past several months, and looking around and seeing what, most of us that are so committed to growth and, reaching our full potential also are always questioning ourselves about what can I do to make a difference? I mean, I'm sure that most of you listening at some time, probably when you were very young, you start thinking, okay, well, what's my purpose here? What can I do to make a difference? And certainly now with the world, and I mean, I don't know, we the world needs us. And
Yeah.
what it needs, I love this quote by Ram Dass, and it's really explains the theme, but he says, I can do nothing for you but work on myself.
Oh,
And
wow.
you can do nothing for me but work on yourself.
Would you repeat that one more time?
I can do nothing for you but work on myself. And you can do nothing for me but work on yourself.
That is just so
I mean, it's
profound.
simple.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's so with the theme, the theme is evolve. And
Yeah.
evolve it's really the ultimate intention with Serious Business. The tagline for Serious Business is, we are there to expose, evoke, and evolve our thinking. And it's
Mhm.
our thinking that informs all of our actions and our decisions. So, and evolve, it's when you look up the word, the Latin word evolve, it's about unrolling or unraveling. So it's as it always is, it's a verb. It's not, in fact, anyone who thinks they are evolved have probably stopped their evolution, because evolving is not a steady state. It's not static.
I,
So
I love that you made that distinction that it's a verb. And is that the case with most serious business themes, that it is I remember pivot was a big one.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's and it maybe isn't as provocative as it has been, like intimacy, and trust me. But it's truly, this whole idea of evolving, it's really what we've always been committed to. And we're really here. We're here to grow. And it's, our service to others is really the energy that we bring into every encounter that we make. And I don't know of an industry or a career that has the opportunity, thus obligation, to create this impact in society. I mean, it's, now self-care is such a buzzword. And I made the distinction, the other day when I was talking to somebody about, and Edwin and I, we were basically self-help junkies. We were all about, okay, how can we self-actualize? How can we be the best versions of ourselves? And then we'd bring that back to the company and our business. And that's how Neill Quality College evolved. So this whole thing about self-help is learning to help self.
Yeah.
Self with a big S. So, that's putting it in very simple terms, but that's really what started this whole, really the culture of Neill Corporation. We've been around for over 75 years, and I really credit our thinking and what's important to us in sustaining, ourselves.
You mentioned 75 years, and a lot of our listeners are going to be familiar with Neill, the Neill family of companies, and many won't. But from a generational standpoint, let me see. We have 1, 2, 3. Are we 4 or 5 generations deep here?
No, we're actually kind of moving from the third into the fourth generation. And there's seven siblings, seven children. And there's some age, there's a lot of age gaps here. So really the fourth generation is really still the third generation, because they're still the siblings, right? And so yeah, really almost 4 generations.
So Garrison would be considered generation
He's
3?
between the third and fourth. That's what I'm saying. He and Tatum and Paris are the youngest.
Yeah.
So are they the third, or they're actually going to end up being the fourth as far as age goes?
Yeah. It's a very talented family. It's Garrison is, I've had the privilege to know Garrison a long time. You must be very proud of him. He's really matured into he's a great entrepreneur. He's been a great guest on Lightbulb Moments. He's a good thinker. He's entrepreneurial. Tatum feels that creative side.
Oh, yes.
Edwin, of course, we think the world of Edwin, and my gosh, in terms of leadership of Edwin, especially in the last 5 years.
The beautiful thing is that they've all found their strength,
Yeah.
and there's really no stepping on toes. It's such a great collaboration because, yeah, I mean, we've been always been very excited that we finally had a hairdresser in the Neill family with Tatum. And then he's created this entity called Elevate. And really, between Elevate and Serious Business, those are both events or that are neutral. They're not about a brand, they're not about a manufacturer product. They are simply about celebrating and elevating and inspiring our industry.
Yeah, it's so fun. I mean, talk about family business, really be family and small business being the engine of the economy. It's rare for a family business to last that number of generations and have that depth within it. I mean, that's what I think is super interesting is you got depth in this. Um, so, all right, let's get to a couple specifics here. Serious business, what are the dates?
January 12th and 13th in
Oh,
New Orleans. And I mean, some people have said, well, why don't you move it around? Honestly, and you and I talked about this yesterday, it's so efficient for us to do it in New Orleans. And it's also New Orleans, love it or hate it, it's one of the most interesting cities on the planet. And it's annually, it's every year in January. And this year it's January 12th and 13th. And we use the Sanger Theater, which is a beautiful theater.
Yep, it
And
is.
we use the Roosevelt as the anchor hotel where we have all the breakouts. So, we've got general session on Sunday with all the keynote speakers, and then we have the breakouts on Monday.
Yeah.
And then we always have Elevate on one of those nights.
Yeah. And then Qnity has its annual dinner on Sunday
That's
night
right.
too, right
That's
before
right.
Elevate. We usually have dinner and then everybody goes to Elevate. A little bit early. It's usually sometime between the second and week of January towards the end, a little on the earlier end this year, which I think is good. And I think we all love having it in the same city. And
It makes it work very smoothly.
are there any speakers you want to just give us a little bit of a reveal on, or you want to
I'll
hold
tell
off on
you, I'm really not quite ready to
Okay.
announce all the speakers, but I will announce one because she was scheduled to be with us this year. It's like this year is really, to me, is like last year, last Serious Business. But she got really, really sick and couldn't come. So she's going to be with us, and that's Dr. Rebecca Heiss. And she is so interesting because she's a evolutionary biologist.
Wow.
And so she researches and teaches about our very natural responses to perceived dangers in our lives.
Wow.
So it's really about, she's discovered ways to work with the brain and not against it. And, it's really about transforming stress, which, look, we have stress. We're not going to eliminate stress, but transforming stress into resiliency and strength and kind of use it. So, she's going to be one of our speakers, and we will be rolling out the speakers as we get, confirm their contracts. And, it's a process, but we pretty much have all the speakers. We just haven't had, all of the signed contracts yet. So
Well, I tell you what, you keep me posted, and I'll
I
make
will.
sure that this audience is up to speed. We're probably in an early bird pricing here, I imagine. So tickets are open.
And check. So follow us on Instagram, Facebook. You'll learn as we go, but it's one of those things where, I don't like to make promises or guarantees, but I really can promise if you attend Serious Business, you will be very grateful that you did. It's really all about And it's not just about evolving, it's not just about business, because we believe that all business development is sourced in personal development and leadership development. So I promise there's a lot of value there, and you'll leave with a sense of that I can do this, like a high, like I'm ready. As you
Yeah.
said at the beginning about starting at the first of the year, it's a great way to start the year.
Well, as Terry McKee just put in the chat, amen. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Your promise about serious business, I would second that, and I will back you up on that. So let's everybody give Debra a virtual round of applause. Give her a little
Thank
shout out in the
you.
chat there.
Thank you.
Love your provoking thoughts. You know, I don't know, I don't have $1 million light bulb here, but you're going to be getting you already have one, don't you?
I don't,
Well,
but I do. I mean, I definitely have a light bulb, but I don't have one of those.
well,
I've I've seen those though. Those are great.
this is actually not the one you're going to get. You're going to get one that has $1 million inside. So anyway, you'll
Oh,
be getting
really?
one. It must have
Okay.
fallen off my desk or something. I normally have it
Thank
right in my
you.
hand. But anyway, thank you, Debra.
Oh, you're
Um,
so welcome. And thank you, Tom, and everyone that's listening. And please come join us at Serious Business, January 12th and 13th.
all right, we will be there with
Okay.
bells on. All right,
Thanks,
Debra, thank you
Tom.
so much.